so let's get started today. Weekly Town Hall meeting, March 28th, 2022. Today's agenda, projects and development updates from Bobinson, marketing updates from Michael and Sala, collaboration updates from Jonathan, and we'll get into a Q&A. Okay, so Bobinson, do you want to start us off with projects and development updates, please?
On the Bitcoin deposit demo, we have finally completed our first Bitcoin deposit to the Peerplays blockchain. So we're still working out the details on how to perform the demo, because there is a delay on creating the deposit addresses. So we'll mostly have to do this in a two-step manner. So because of my absence last week, I couldn't plan this particular demo. So hopefully next week, in the next couple of weeks, we'll plan the steps and try to do a demo, so that we'll try to do a demo which we can share with the rest of the world. So that's on the Bitcoin deposit demo. So this second slide is about our process improvements, of which we have been talking about various items, and we have successfully addressed majority of them, or in the process of addressing majority of them. So I've just added one more item here, which is with respect to the release strategy. So what was happening was DevOps had discussed and came up with a release strategy, but there was some gaps between QA and other teams. So I just brought this as one of the action items, so that we can track this better. So I don't think it's a major item. We just need to have a separate meeting where we will be on the same page, and we will improve the release strategy for various projects, so that our tracking can be even better. And the log management, we are still, this is kind of on hold, because we are swamped with other work. And in this context, I also need to share our situation with the GitLab OSS account. So the OSS account, we have an OSS subscription called GitLab Ultimate, which was renewed, but some of our features like CI/CD, GitLab runners, GitLab epics. So these features are still not renewed. So I've been following up on this for close to 2 months now. Now, as of today, I've started tweeting about this to the GitLab, so that I'm hoping that the GitLab customer care team will see this, and they will reactivate our features. So I think this is more of a procedural delay, because we have a $0 invoice, and everything looks good. Even so, we also have a subscription portal where also status is update. So that's another item which we're trying actively following up, but unfortunately there's not much progress to be seen. So and our now onto our projects. So we had last 2 weeks we've been focused on QAing version 7.2 of our Dex UI. We had a handful of major items which has been completed, and we have now going ahead with versions 0.73, and there are around 28 items which we are verifying. Now we are also supposed to do a production release to market.peerplays.com based on our feedback against version 0.72, but we have identified a blocker issue with the keep buy and sell option on the dashboard. So because of that, we have decided not to do a production release. So once this issue 768 is addressed, we'll be doing a production release. So that's the status on the Dex UI. So the current status is, as I indicated, there are 28 items in QA, and only 3 items in review as of today. So the status with the Dex UI, I think going forward, this is not going to change much, because with the current 28 items in review, in testing. We will mostly uh, do a deployment to production, and we will freeze the development and focus all our energy on the next project. So next, where we are working on our improved UI. So we have completed various screens, and we have also got a sample deployment up and running for the internal purposes. So various screens are under progress, and we're trying to move more developers to this project so that we can speed up the process. So just to summarize, the current status is that we have various screens with respect to login, uh, market screens, some of the deposit and withdrawal screens. These are being completed. And our primary focus will be on the deposit and withdrawal screens, which is the cross-chain deposit and withdrawal. So our primary focus is to improve and provide better uh, usability for to those functionalities, and we're trying to provide a simple and easy to use interface here, and we're making good progress here, and the charts are also showing good progress this point. The Gantt charts for information. The next item is Dexport. So most of the development and porting has been completed, as we've indicated in the previous weeks. We are finding challenges in bundling this and creating installers because it's little tricky to create Python installers for Windows, and especially for Windows. So the Windows installer has been done right now, and we're now investigating the Mac and Linux installers. So I believe the Linux installer is going to be a little tricky because we may have to create an executable file out of the Python uh, program. So that's going to be a little tricky. The Mac one, that hopefully is going to be an easier one.
I have some update here. So we already have executable file and installer. So hopefully today the installation for Mac and Linux will be also done. So we're very close to completion of installers, and after that we can release.
Yeah, either way, we're not going to do much on here. We're just going to release as soon as we have the installers. We'll be releasing and proceeding as it is. Blockchain updates. Honestly, I'm a little behind on the status here, but generally our focus is to complete various refactoring and stability fixes, and we're trying to uh, complete the QA so that we can do a release. And we also have identified, this was briefly discussed last week, but there was some confusion because we had identified the Bitcoin related challenges, as well as performed first deposit just before the town hall. So the thought process is that so the Bitcoin deposit and withdrawal is it's working fine, but the challenge is that whenever we create a deposit address, there is an associated Bitcoin wallet, and this wallet goes into an unresponsive mode for a very long time, close to 1 hour. Now, this is a even though this is not a showstopper, this extends the time required to deposit or withdraw, especially deposit a Bitcoin for the first time, because originally a Bitcoin deposit is expected to complete in around 6 to 10 minutes, average 6 to 10 minutes. But since the Bitcoin wallet associated is getting stuck for close to 60 minutes or more, this time is getting extended. Uh, so, so the idea is that we will be trying to uh, upgrade some of the FC libraries so that we can uh, make use of the Bitcoin indexing and speed up this process. Now, this process is it's very much related to our next deposit screens as well. So the current deposit screens works assuming that any deposit address addition that we do that is done within 3 to 4 seconds, or rather immediately. So that is how we have designed our next screens. So there is going to be an impact on the next screens as well, but we will mostly try to overcome. I hope we will be able to overcome this uh, hurdle and provide the current workflow in the next. So that is one item which we'll be investigating in the coming weeks and deciding the next steps. Charts. So Henry, if you want to pitch in on these charts, it'll be helpful.
This chart reflects the progress on current blockchain updates, not on the current ongoing blockchain updates, not related to mainnet release. For mainnet release, we have a separate scope, and this scope is done. We just testing it. Okay. So this is pretty much about the ongoing improvements, other than the scope of mainnet release. Two milestones in parallel. While one is focused on mainnet release, and the second one is just ongoing changes. Bobbins on the previous slide reflects our plan for mainnet release, and we are very close to completion. I mean, all tickets are fixed and reviewed and currently in testing state. Once our QA says that they are okay, that they're verified, we can release. So hopefully it will happen tomorrow, maybe on Wednesday. So.
Okay, our ongoing status on the blockchain, the historical status is here. I think I just need to add some more points here. So, in addition to these tickets that we've mentioned, we are also exploring um how to add support for smart contracts and also various other Oracle-like systems so that can support external data sources. So we are also actively investigating and researching these aspects. So there are no specific tickets for that, but we are talking to various collaborators, and we are also doing our SWOT analysis for the next steps on the blockchain development. So the JS library is currently on hold because we don't have active JavaScript developers to work on this, but we'll be resuming the work on this very soon. Express NFT, or the NFT marketplace. So so we are currently working on finalizing the Express card related updates, which is which is on the development side. And on the documentation or the functional spec side, we have written a large number of functional specs, which is in progress, thanks to Sean and Chris. And we have also created tickets, and we are ready for the UI creation. When I say UI creation, this is mostly going to be design of the usability aspects, UI UX screens, which will be undertaken by our UX expert, Kritika. So those are also in the progress. And the next item we are planning to do is we are trying to set up a demo, we are planning to create a demo release using our current code base, which will be using both the Express NFT product as well as the PRID product. And various improvements or fixes that we've done to the code base also will be available, but no additional features will be brought in. We're trying to set up this demo release, and there are a few concerns about fees and usability aspects, as well as there are ongoing discussions regarding adding additional metadata to the NFTs. So that is also in progress. Burn down and burn up charts are here. Hummingbird market maker. So the status remains pretty much the same. So we have created a pull request as we had indicated, and one of the items that was pending with the Hummingbird was that the installation instructions was little lazy. So I have received a new set of installation instructions and a tutorial. So with that, internally we'll be able to run this. So this only I'm working on this item. So in this week, I'll be testing this out, testing out the new installation instructions, and as soon as Hummingbird approves our pull request, we'll have support for 2 market makers. So that's on the Hummingbird. So that's all from the development team. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Robinson. Michael, on to marketing updates, please.
Hello, everybody, and happy Monday. Marketing updates for this week. We've done an expansion of our tweets and posts on LinkedIn and Facebook that are pointing back to the website for the full articles. It's been relatively well received, and we're getting some traction. So it's actually the engagement is getting better. In terms of likes and just the reach in general, from what I have looked at with respect to the analytics. So it's all driving traffic back to the website and creating awareness for us for when things really get rolling. We're going to have more of a built-in audience than we would have had before. We are also working on a witness campaign ad that will be posted relatively shortly. I just saw the edit of it this morning, and there's just a couple of things to change. After that, I believe we're ready to go. We're going to run a campaign. It's around the idea of being decentralized and how the more witnesses we have, the more decentralized we'll be, and being able to try and capitalize on the whole idea of things being decentralized. There's a lot of talk about that now in the industry and in the world in general. So we're hoping that we'll be able to get some traction with respect to that and bring some new people in for witnesses. The marketing team will also be embarking on a SWOT project for items scheduled in 2022 that we're going to be introducing. It's going to be a pretty in-depth look into what's going to happen. And for those that don't know, a SWOT analysis is strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So it's going to look at each one of the different things from that lens, and then we're going to put them into more of a presentation for what we're going to look at going forward for the rest of the year. And then the last thing was there was some significant community engagement regarding the outreach survey and the results that were put in terms of just talking with a couple people about the results and from the community, and that they liked the transparency and they liked how it was presented. And not just a fluff piece. It was actually really in depth in what people wanted from the community, and a lot of people were fairly happy with what that is. Now it's just a matter of taking that information that we got from the community survey and implementing some of the things that were talked about, and getting just some of the stuff we were already working on, which answers a lot of those questions back into place and getting them working, and will satisfy a lot of the things right off the bat. So that's it for the marketing updates. We can move on to the performance updates with Salah.
Thank you, Michael. In terms of performance campaign, so this is a summary of the traffic coming to the site from all channels for the last week. We're seeing growth in terms of users and in terms of sessions as well. The duration, so people stay longer in the pages, which is a good indication. And then through our SEO campaign and new articles posted in the blog the section of the sites, and also the forum being built, now we will be having more traffic across all, like coming from all channels, the direct, the search, the social, and the referrals as well. So in terms of social media performance, this week we got a little bit down in terms of engagement for Twitter, since we're getting like more threads on the Twitter. Last week was a bit less than the week before, so we're seeing, like, compared to the week before, a bit slow, but we're continuing to post in threads on Twitter, and the last week we started doing it on Facebook, so we can see there is a more engagement on Facebook as well. The top posts engaged are more related to the Bitcoin, decentralization, and NFT as well. So we're trying to take advantage of that to get more attraction and more reach for Peerplays on the social media. So that's my update for the performance for this week. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Salah. And Jonathan, collaborations updates, please.
Thank you very much. So this is the collaboration updates for the past week. We had a call with Gaming Benefits Corp in regards to how they did at the various conferences. They had one in Las Vegas, another that was in North Carolina, and they were received very well. They're quite excited about the auditing dashboard that they're working on that's going to work with regulators of the gaming industry, which will be powered by the Peerplays public blockchain. So that's something that we spoke about in that call last week. So good progress on that front. Mars VR Labs, gamified rehabilitation. We connected last week also and spoke about moving forward with their developments. We are now into discovery. As I mentioned the previous week, we're still corresponding in regards to discovery of how it's going to integrate with Peerplays. So that went well. Community, Avalon Scenes. So we had a number of calls with Avalon Scenes. This is a community communications platform. So as you know, they are someone we've been working with some time. They were otherwise known as Avalon Meta in the beginning, and they have developed a very extensive platform from all of that research and development they did in those initial phases. And that research and development has led to a platform which is quite impressive in terms of creating a community space where communication for various functions are all in a single package. So the calls we had with them were in relation to having that same platform utilized in Peerplays, and how we could also have the components of Peerplays integrating with that platform. There's several layers where Peerplays can be incorporated into it. And so we had a few back and forths on that. And there right at this moment, what we're interested in is seeing this being implemented in Peerplays community so that from those foundations, we can get a better understanding of how people interact in these spaces. And then in that, being able to identify where the opportunities for blockchain enhancements from Peerplays would make the most sense. And so with that, of course, this would be something that they could then be able to offer to other customers who are currently using the platform. They're seeing quite an uptake in terms of people utilizing it. It's only just gotten started this past, earlier this year with their offering, but they're already surpassed their expectations. So that is something that's going to be ongoing, and we already have some calls lined up for this week on this front as well. So expect to see something from that. Infrastructure, Koinos Group. So we've been in talks with Koinos Group on and off for the past couple of months, as noted in some previous updates. And we connected with them again this past week, had a very long call talking about the future of Peerplays, as well as what they've done in regards to the tech stack that they've created with Koinos. And for those of you who don't know the background of Koinos Group, they are the original developers that worked with Steam. And so Steam blockchain, many of those developers, when Justin Sun ended up taking over, ended up quitting. And of course, they moved on to create Koinos Group and set out to create a technology stack that would overcome a lot of the problems they were having in relation to dealing with maintaining a graphene blockchain, which Steam is another graphene blockchain, just like Peerplays. The call Koinos Group was very good. We have other follow-ups this week. Expect to see more on that front in the future. And those were all the updates from this past week in regards to collaborations. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Jonathan. Okay, time for questions, comments, thoughts. Anybody here have any questions? I do have a couple questions that came in from the community. I will ask those now. Jonathan, I think these are both towards you. One, of the 940,000 PPY acquired a few years ago, what are the names of the business partners who received PPY? What is the status of those partnerships? Are there any deviations or updates from the original allocations quoted here?
Okay, so that's 3 questions.
Yes.
But it all relates, so that's fair. So this relates to a sizable amount of PPY, which we have been in stewardship of for some time, since 2019, I believe it is. And so this we had set out a plan for how it was going to be redistributed, and some of that had gone forward, but the expectation was that with the partnerships back then, that they would come to fruition, as we had anticipated, with the developments that were going on at that time. The main focus back then being Streamer's Edge, as I recall. So the idea that I had back then was that we should be looking at these large allotments with partnerships, and that would be a good way for those coins to then gain recirculation. I don't really share that opinion anymore. I think that it's better if we have a more distributed mechanism for being able to see those coins get into circulation again. So there's been talk in this update regarding SWOT analysis or SWOT analysis in regards to the ongoing developments this year. I will say that without getting into a lot of details, these tokens specifically would be going towards supporting some of those activities, which are likely going to result in a very large airdrop to various decentralized communities within Peerplays. And so with that, it's going to provide a Peerplays autonomous organization for each of these new entities. And with that, this PPY that's been referred to in regards to this question is going to be part and parcel of supporting those POWs to be able to self-govern, to be able to direct development efforts, to be able to pay for whatever else necessary for their success. So that's I guess the answer to the last question, which was if there's been any deviations. The answer is yes. So the plans for partnerships in the past didn't culminate as expected. And so with what we're doing now, it would see all of this PPY get far more distributed via a free airdrop through these Peerplays autonomous organizations, POWs, that are going to be introduced, or we plan to introduce. I don't know if it's going to be, but this is the plan. So we'll see how that goes. So that is the answer to that PPY from a few years ago. Means that there is something that's going to be coming in the pipeline in how those are going to get far more distributed than just being in the hands of a few key partners, which at this stage I don't believe would be very good for Peerplays.
Thank you. Question number 2. Are there plans? This is also a partially four-part question. Are there plans to build up the Pvsa board of directors? Who should be on the board? Are you recruiting? Should the board have more equity in voting power and decision making? Specifically referring to the disparity of the voting power of the current board.
Okay, so this is something that unfortunately I wish this was going faster, but it's going at the pace it's going. But I do expect to have this resolved within the next few weeks at least. Are there plans to build up the Pvsa board? Yes, there has been plans. That was announced quite some time ago. It's been a task looking for board members. So who should be on the board? Essentially, we're looking for the people I've been talking to have been people who are very aligned with wanting to utilize Peerplays and see it succeed because of their utilization. Part of the challenge that we've had in the past, it has been having people on the board who are aligned with the success of the vision of the of Peerplays itself, and not necessarily focused on the success of Pvsa. There's a difference. So the Pvsa exists for the sake of seeing the success of Peerplays become realized. And so finding board members who would be there with the same kind of passion, drive, vision to see that into translate into the mission, supporting the Peerplays blockchain is a bit of a challenge. But I have been speaking to various people who I thought would bring that to the table. I do have some people lined up now. It's a matter of technicalities for me to work with them to have them sign on. In regards to the board and its equity and power and decision making, that would be a non-issue because the board and its formation would have all the same voting capabilities once they're on board. This means that essentially once we have all the board in place, I likely won't be involved. So there's not going to be a situation of disparity in regards to the current board versus when new members are brought on, when the new members are brought into place. And yeah, so I believe that answers that question.
I did have a third question from the community, but it was a status update on Avalon Meta. You've given that in your collaborations update, and it seems to be like we'll be hearing more about it in the future. So this, if there's no more questions, this ends today's meeting. Thank you everybody for your time, and we will see you on Friday.